of stories trending right now. Kicking off the week with our friend Larry Hackett, the editor of People magazine. Love to start the week with you, Larry.
The crowd goes wild.
It does.
They may go wild for reasons that I don't understand.
Here's something to go wild about. Let's look at that picture of Zac Efron. We showed it earlier. He's up there in Machu Picchu. There we go. Scaling the heights of Machu Picchu, and this is the end of a long journey for him, Larry.
It really is. We have a harrowing story in the magazine this week about the kind of drug spiral he was on. The story opens up with a house party in Hollywood and him coming up to a young person there who we spoke to and telling him that he's been up for 4 days.
Wow.
And then other accounts of just unbelievable cocaine use, going to Vegas, not going to bed until 5 p.m., taking Adderall to stay awake for a press conference because he's been up all night. Really, really harrowing stuff.
Was this in the papers? Because it seems like this was such a surprise. Was
Totally.
This, how did?
No. He partied secretly. He would, stay at friends' houses generally. He was not out in public doing this kind of thing.
So there was no photographic evidence?
No. And of course, it's also such a huge contrast to the character.
Out of character for him. Because didn't you say when he came to your office, did he take a picture?
He was fantastic. He sat with my daughter and was interviewed by her. She was about 9 years
And out
old.
of character all the times he's come here. Yeah. Total pro, real nice guy, yeah.
Totally. Never any eye rolling. He always seemed completely into it and really, and great close family. So it was a shock. Hopefully it was a short and harrowing period of time that was now ending.
Yeah, because perhaps it does seem like that is behind him.
He was in Toronto at the film festival. He was great, staying, not staying out in clubs, looked fine. So this could be,
keep our fingers crossed.
Yeah,
we do.
Absolutely.
Also, could it be Back to the Future for Fergie and Prince Andrew? Andrew, is this really happening?
Well, it's the weirdest story. They have been very friendly since they split up in 1996, but
They
now
live in the same house,
they live in the same house. But the
pretty
big
big
change,
house.
it's a big house. But they apparently spend a lot of time with each other, and she speaks highly of him. Back in the summertime, she was invited to Balmoral, the Queen's house, for the first time in like 18 years. This was seen as a signal that they're taking her back in. And when asked directly about whether or not they're going to get married, she says things like, "He's my handsome prince. He'll always be my handsome prince." So
Does
she's
he
not.
ever say anything now?
He never says anything bad about her. And this has withstood a lot. You might remember 3 years ago, she got in trouble for basically selling access to him.
That's right. That's right.
Didn't get to go to the wedding.
Exactly. So, he's put up with a lot of stuff, but apparently, he says nothing bad about her.
No, nothing bad, but does he ever, she sort of winks. Does he ever sort of indicate that there's...
Kind of the same. He doesn't do anything to throw any cold water on it, and he's plenty of people who could do that.
I think it's a real love
Silly
story.
romantic.
I do
like it.
I do too, right?
love
It's a great story.
Another potential love story. Thank you, Amy, for that. Kate Upton and Max.
This is kind of like royalty, too. Right?
Yeah, very star royalty, yes.
I guess that's the West Village, Thursday, late in the week, right?
I mean, that is one good-looking couple.
Well, you know what? There you go. Is there anything more to say, really? Go ahead, Sam, you may want to say
That's
something.
all
I just remember when it first happened, they both said no, that they were just friends the first time they were ever shot. So do we think that there's more to it? Or is there, let me ask you this, Larry, is there any reason for them to say they're not going out? How's that?
I don't think so. And I think, they wanted to see if it was going to stick. I think people don't want to be seen as like having a date or two and then breaking up. But, look, they know what's going on. They're walking down the street on a weekend in the Village holding hands. They know what's happening. They know we photographed, and they know we're going to be here talking about it. So this is a declaration of something
Max,
sincere.
hi,
Have them on.
We're getting some hints about the new season of Glee and, of course, how they're going to handle Cory Monteith, the death of Cory Monteith. I guess they have one tweet for a promotional photo saying the hardest word to say is goodbye.
This is going to be on, I think, later on this month. It's a really tough one. However, if any show knows how to deal with this kind of issue, they embrace emotion on this show, right? I mean, singing songs, they know what they're doing here. So I think it's going to be very moving, and then I think they're going to move on from there.
But it looks like they may really address it head on.
I think
and not
so.
try
I
and
mean, Jane
sugarcoat
Lynch
it.
was very plain when she spoke at the Emmys about drug use. So I think we can see that coming forward. I mean, again, with all these kinds of shows like Zac Efron, separating the character from the individual is really hard.
And the power of that message to all the people who love the show.
I mean, they have an opportunity here to really
That's an
make a
age
difference.
group that is not immune from loss. I mean, that's an age group that has to deal with this kind of thing, really. So they have a chance to show people.
The trick
how to
is,
do
though,
that.
not to exploit this young man's death on behalf of the show.
Sure.
Right.
Yeah, and then find that way to pivot and then move on.
And move
Exactly.
on.
A little happier news. Husband, Alec Baldwin, showing what a good husband he is, helping his wife, Hilaria Thomas, with a little yoga video. There he is right there. You don't think of Alec Baldwin in yoga as a
He
natural
might not.
fit.
I think many people do. Just kidding. Listen, she was very, she said, "I'm a very bossy person. He's a bossy person. I made him do this," and clearly she did. Listen, we all know that he has said many times he has a new life now with Hilaria, and we had their baby photographs in the magazine. And
He doesn't have a very hard job there.
Yeah, no, exactly. What exactly is
He's
he
just
doing?
holding her
Makes,
hips, I
it
think.
makes couples yoga look fantastic.
He
So I
does
think
look
everyone
good, though,
should
by
do
the
it.
way.
Yeah,
he really has
and
slimmed
happy.
down
And
since
happy.
he's
Very,
been with
yeah,
her.
very.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I like them both very much.
The yoga's good for him. So's married life, and so's the yoga.
Clearly. And so are you for us. Thank you.
Good to be here.